Cracking, everybody. Welcome to Off the Cuff. First and foremost, I want to tell the listeners that Judge Masterpiece will no longer be the co-host on this show. Life's obligations have simply taken over for him. I wish him the best, as he is a very good man. He is a friend from when I was a kid, and he's in my prayers and my thoughts as always. And I just want to tell him that, maybe in the future he can return and we can do more shows together. That'd be pretty awesome. That being said, I'd like to introduce my new co-host. I had him on the show as a guest last episode, and I asked him to be here permanently. He's my brother, my best homie from childhood to adulthood, Ulika. Welcome, bro. How are things with you today?
Thank you, brother man. Once again, I'm very happy to be here and very honored that you've asked me for this task. It is something that I enjoyed myself doing last week, and I'm looking forward
That's
to
fun,
more.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
You and I, whenever we get on, we start talking, it's like never ending, as your wife has pointed out.
Yeah. She said last time it went a little long.
But she listened to it, right? The whole
She
thing?
did. And I think a lot of people did. Well, not a lot. Hopefully, a lot more people will listen, but actually got pretty good amount, I guess, of people listening. So that's good. So anyway, I want to start off the show with something that it's not Ulika's favorite subject, bro, but it's one of mine. It's celebrity deaths. And I actually...
Now, here we go again with the death thing.
You know me.
My goodness. What is she with death, bro?
I don't know.
Jeez.
I even watched that show, Autopsy, and I like to see what they died of. So, but yeah, I just got word right now, actually, as I was going to come on and do the show with you, that the beloved Regis Philbin just died. And this guy has been in show business for like 60 years. And man, I don't know what he died of yet, because it's a pretty brand new, I guess it was just today that he passed. But yeah, that guy entertained people for a long time. He was on Regis and Kathy Lee.
I did wake up a couple of times with that show.
Way back. And then he went on with Kelly Ripa, and she still does the show with Ryan Seacrest now. But yeah, that's sad, man. But 88 years old, I mean, it's a long life. So that's a good thing.
88? That guy was 88 years old?
And still working, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow, he was 80. Man. I hope I look as good as he did.
I know, right? Yeah. Another guy who looks pretty good is William Shatner. That dude, man, he's I think he's like 86, 87 years old. And he does not get...
No, don't.
Yeah.
Don't tell me he is that old now.
That's a good impression.
I don't believe it. Thank you.
That's really good. It took me a second. I was like,
I'm also a fan.
I was like, what did you say?
I'm actually a fan of Star Trek.
Yeah. William Shatner, I don't know if you've seen him in that reality show that he did with Terry Bradshaw and God, I forgot what it was even called, but they traveled the country. Henry Winkler, I always say his name wrong. The Fonz.
The Fonz.
Yeah. Hey. It's funny as heck, and William Shatner is a funny dude, man. Funny dude.
Another show that I used to watch. Actually, I was just watching not too long ago. Boston Legal.
Oh, okay.
And I tell you, his acting style goes across all of his different shows, not only just in Star Trek.
The way he talks and stuff.
He even playing a lawyer in Boston Legal, Denny Crane. He still has that same look of the captain from the USS Enterprise.
I couldn't believe he was 80. I found out he was 86, 87, and that was a couple years ago. So wow, I just couldn't believe that. He looks great. He still sounds great. He's still funny as heck. So hopefully we can be like that, bro, when we get older. Just two funny old grumpy men. No.
Well, I don't know about being grumpy.
I will be.
I don't think I'll ever be grumpy. I think my grumpy stages have gone and passed
Oh
and
yeah.
gone.
Now it's just enjoying life and enjoying the fact that
Pretty
you
much.
woke up the next day.
Something like that.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, life is too short to be walking around,
That's true. That's
pissed
true.
off, or here's one for you. I recently learned this term. I don't know if it's a new term within the youngins in society or if it's particular to Kentucky, but it's called
It's not YOLO, is it?
no, it's RBF.
Resting bitch face?
You have any idea? Yes, you know it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, you know it.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know, bro.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I was like, you know what?
It's a
That is
thing.
a very good way to describe someone. Some people, they just have that
Oh
face.
yeah. Well, I tell my wife that
Constantly
Yeah.
scrunched up and
I get in trouble for telling H that.
Say again?
I get in trouble for telling H that she has RBF.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I never noticed that she had
Well,
such a
I'm
look
sure
on her.
she'd appreciate that. But yeah,
To me, she's always smiling. It could just be my glasses are smudged. I don't know.
or you have rose-colored glasses. No. Yeah, man. But yeah, no, yeah, RBF is a thing, bro. Resting bitch face. Yep. And actually,
I didn't know.
I've been told I have it. Yeah, like when I stay.
You have RBF?
Well, when I stay serious, like if I'm concentrating on something, it looks like it looks like I'm mad or bitchy or whatever it is that resting bitch face entails. So why did you bring that up?
That's cool.
Why'd you bring up RBF? It's common in Kentucky.
I was talking. No, well, it just seems like everywhere I turn, people are just so
Oh, okay. I see
disgruntled
what you
about
mean.
life.
Yeah, it's got to
I've
do with the
had my
grumpy.
share of disgruntledness, but yeah, the
Right.
grumpy, exactly.
Right.
And I just think it's life is too short to be walking
Right.
around, that way.
Yeah,
It's like
actually,
they have a saying, but I've adapted that saying to my way of saying it. Life gives you lemons. Add bourbon to it.
I like that. That's a good one. Oh, man.
That's my adaptation of it. I believe the saying
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
make lemonade.
I think
But I say add
people will
bourbon
like
to it.
your adaptation.
Well, thank
It's
you.
a good one.
No, seriously. I mean, I try to make the best out of every situation.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
I just can't see myself having the resting bitch face all day long. I mean,
right.
I think that's too much work. That's too much work.
Yeah,
Get it? I'm trying to imitate William Shatner
right,
again.
right. I kind of heard that a little bit. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna give him the floor. I'm just gonna go ahead and let him do his thing. That's cool. But yeah,
All right, bro, man. So go ahead. Finish up with your death list.
hey, I'm not killing them off,
I hope not.
Although my friend Mike McEady and I, we play this game called Dead or Alive, and we should bring up people dead or alive. Huh? I know, right? Wanted, dead or alive.
That saying, dead or alive, reminds me of my
What is that?
sister. And I got to my teens, and you know how most young men are. They get to their teens, they have this attitude look on their face, and like the don't fuck with aka resting bitch face.
Right.
And so my sister used to tell me to walk across the street because I look like I'm a killer. And if she were to take a picture of me, it would say dead or alive, wanted.
Oh, okay. So she said that to you.
Anyway. Oh, many times, man. But she used to attack me all the time like that.
How is your sister, anyways?
To be honest, I don't
You don't know.
know.
You haven't spoken
I
to her in a
haven't
while.
really spoken to her. I did, yeah, I did reach out to her. I called her because of COVID.
Oh,
I don't even remember what it is that she was arguing with me about
uh-huh.
that prompted her not to answer my calls anymore. And so because of COVID, I called her.
Mhm. Like wellness
She
check.
answers the phone. Hello?
Hmm.
Something like that. You know. Hello? I said, Jackie. Oh, Ulika. You okay? Yes. Are you alive? Yes. Do you have COVID? No. Bye. That was it.
I love
you know.
that. Funny.
No, I also asked about her daughter, and she said everything was
Yeah,
good. So I said, okay, goodbye.
Sydney. Yeah,
That's all.
I remember when we were young, and she would come in when I first met your sister. She came in the mission, and she said, "Oh, you have a friend," and I guess she was implying you have one friend. I don't know, but and you said, "Yeah, that's my bro Jeff, right?" She says, "Hi, Jeff," and then she looked at
Mhm.
you and said, "Hi, ugly," and then kept walking. And I was like, "Wow, interesting relationship."
Believe it or not, we still talk in that same
Do you?
fashion.
I could tell by
She
that
still
phone call.
calls me ugly.
That's funny.
Yes,
That's funny.
she still calls me ugly,
Hmm.
you know, and sometimes she calls me,
Strong
throughout my
words.
20s, she said I was a whore,
Yikes.
you know.
Yes, yes. You've had
Yeah, I know, right?
escapades and stuff like that. I know that, but we're not getting into that. Not today.
But that's
Episode.
a whole other series.
Right. Yeah, it is a
Episode
series. Yeah.
because I need a few of them to talk about my sister.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I love her to death, but she goes off the deep end sometimes on my ass, and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
So I just flow with it. It's whatever. I mean, I'm the only brother she knows.
Right. 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 Well, I'm sure if you were ever gone, then I'm sure she would miss you very much, man. So if that's any, consolation. But
Consolation. Thank you for that.
but anyway, let me go on with this death list.
Speaking
What?
of which, I've often thought about, if I were to die, how many people would come to my funeral?
Oh yeah.
Not
Oh,
in a resting bitch
I just got
face.
an idea for another episode. Yeah, we could do that.
What is that?
Talk about,
Who's gonna come to
who's
my
coming to your
funeral?
funeral.
Register,
Re-
register at off the cuff at
Register
gmail.com.
now.
you
Yeah,
know?
get ahead of the things, But
hmm
yeah. So you've often wondered that. Huh? I thought about that once. It was one of my a long time ago, a Facebook post of mine. I said, who's coming to my funeral? And people,
Well, you can count that I'll be there, bro.
yeah. Well, I don't. I think I hope that you would give my eulogy.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
hope so.
that would be awesome because I think that you would do it justice.
And don't worry, bro. Don't worry about a thing. I'll escort your wife and your
Uh,
kids, your mom and your sister,
okay, thank you,
your aunts. Yes, your
thank you,
aunts.
thank you. I know people out there are thinking, man, these guys are morbid, but
Uh, well, you bring up death, bro.
I
I mean,
know.
what can I
But
do?
you know, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it's a way to honor these people. I mean, like for instance, the another guy who died, another man who died is American
Oh,
Congressman,
Jesus.
civil rights activist John Lewis. Uh,
Yes,
yeah, important
great
figure.
guy.
You know,
It's
hmm
a lot of people like to, as my dad once said, titles are an individual can't live off of a title.
That's true.
And just because you have the title doesn't mean that you're a great person.
Correct.
Because there's lots of people with title and they haven't done very good, or the general consensus popular belief about that person might not be so great.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and it depends on who you're speaking to. Like Gaddafi, for
Mm.
example. Some people think he's great, but in that region of the world and around the world, they think he's
Not so
horrible,
great.
including his own people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Very, very true. Well, John Lewis was born in Alabama in 1940, and he died July 17th, 2020. I didn't get to mention him before. He actually walked with Martin Luther King Jr. on the bridge in Selma.
He didn't just walk, actually, bro.
Okay.
Interesting
Mhm.
fact. He was part of. There was a group of organizers, and he was one of the
Ah,
organizers.
awesome. Yeah, that's something I didn't know. I know he
Hmm.
got beaten up by racists, and
That's right.
for that, and he devoted his whole
I
life to
I
civil
know there
rights.
was
So,
something called. There was an incident on the Edmund Pettus Bridge that became known as the Bloody Sunday,
mm,
where armed Alabama police attacked unarmed civil rights demonstrators, including Lewis.
yeah, that sounds eerily
Yeah,
like what's happening today in Portland and places like that. It's all around the country,
interesting. You
really.
should mention that.
Hmm.
Interesting. You should mention that. The governor went to those peaceful protests that have become violent, and the feds who were set there to quell these uprisings, as they call them, actually tear gassed the governor.
Oh,
Go figure that. I heard
jeez.
that today on the news. Yeah, it wasn't today actually. It was I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean now there's a couple of movements going on there. In fact, they've been rioting there for the last 59 days.
Wow. Yeah.
And they got the Mother's Wall.
Hmm.
Now it's the Vets Wall. Also, vets have also went to create a wall there. Um, I heard on the news this morning, actually driving into work, that the police department has been instructed not to assist, and in fact to resist the federal agents that are
Wow.
there. So it's becoming a hot mess.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you read up on that and you or you heard it and know about it. I'm not a big news watcher and stuff like that, so it helps to have someone else kind of break it down for people like me. But yeah, I hope that stuff gets, I mean, to say that it hopefully gets better is probably just wishful thinking, but um,
Well, I don't know
something's
about
got to
wishful
give.
thinking, bro. Think about John Lewis back in the day when he was in his 20s, and he was a civil rights activist, marching all over the country,
Mhm.
and bringing awareness to the law of segregation. Um, if he didn't do that, and at that time maybe he said maybe it won't make a difference, but at moving forward 40 years later, 50 years plus, you know look at where we are today.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, I think everything will make a difference.
Hmm. I hope so. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, whether it moves, progressively, a little bit or a lot, it's still progress. So I guess, we can look at it that way. Um, I'm going to move on to Carl Reiner. Carl Reiner passed away June 29th, 2020. I didn't get a chance to say his name as well. He was an American actor, comedian, director, screenwriter, and author. He was born in 1922 in the Bronx, my birthplace as well. So he's the father. I think a lot of people would know him more as the father of Rob Reiner, who played Meathead on All in the Family. And a lot of people remember that show, I'm sure, back in the early 70s. I'm sorry, late 70s, early 80s. And he was a very he was a good innovator, man, for shows and for creating things that made us laugh and uh, you know forget about the bad things that are happening, as like TV was a big thing in my life, so growing up. So may God rest their souls, and Lord knows they've been through a lot in their lives, and including Regis. So rest in peace to them. Hollywood has some interesting stories, bro. Like
It does.
like recently, have you heard the great Mike Tyson, aka Iron Mike, aka the baddest man on the planet, is coming to the boxing world again to fight another great.
I didn't hear about that
No?
until you brought it up, bro.
Well,
So
it's supposed to be on September 12th.
That this was accurate information.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing that I see is George Foreman stating that these two shouldn't fight. They're gonna get hurt.
I know. Roy Jones Jr. Is 51 and Mike is 54. And bro, it's crazy. I mean, these guys, I guess they feel like, they could still do it. It looked pretty good when I saw some videos of Mike Tyson doing his workout and stuff.
Yeah, he still looked like a bulldog coming at you.
Yeah, I remember when the Mission that was right across from Don King Productions.
King's house.
Oh, really?
It used to be his house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he made millions off of Mike and others. And then he kind of just had it as like a spot that he would go to in the city.
Wow. That's pretty cool, though, man.
He tried to sell that building, actually, but he couldn't sell it, so it ended up staying.
And to this day, it's still there?
I do not know the answer to that.
Yeah, because you left New York a long time ago, I know. Yeah, that was, what was that, West 68th? No, East 68th.
Actually, 69th, East 69th.
East 69th.
Park and Madison. Actually, I do believe they did sell it. Someone did buy it, I believe.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to that. Yeah, I mean, growing up, as a young person, we're very easily influenced by celebrities and so forth. But his entourage was always in a big ass bus, and they always used to take up my parking spaces, So I had a problem with that.
Yeah.
New York, parking is already difficult enough.
I know. Man,
I had a reserved space, and
I tell people all the time I wouldn't even bother to drive in New York, bro. I mean, there's no point. You might as well take a freaking train everywhere, like I did, like we did.
I had always heard about Mike Tyson. I've seen Mike, in a couple of fights that lasted 10 seconds, or something along those lines. Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But I had never heard him speak.
Right.
And here I was, upset that his bus and his entourage is occupying my space for parking. And I'm going inside my house, and he looks at me, and I look at him. And granted, I was young and stupid and foolish, so I thought I could take his ass. Right?
Wait a minute, who was this?
Yeah, that was me.
No, by who was the guy?
That was me.
You were doing this to who?
Mike.
Oh, you serious?
Mike.
Oh man, you're crazy, bro. You're crazy.
Oh, I gave him the evil eye, bro.
Serious?
And he opened up his mouth and he was like, "What's up, little man?" Little man. The fuck?
No way.
What's up with your voice, man? No, I didn't say it.
You're thinking it. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't say it. Holy shit. Mike Tyson.
But once I closed the gate of the house, I was like, "What's up with your voice, bro?"
That's right. Then you got protection and you're in.
I don't think he heard it,
Well, I remember.
Right. Well, that guy is, and he really doesn't look that big in real life.
Well, no, but
might be a little wide.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look that big,
Shoot.
Will he be able to knock me out?
Yes.
I'm sure.
Sorry, bro. I would give you support.
I'm not as young and foolish anymore. I'm not as young and foolish anymore, and I know that if it came to it, and my buddies were in my corner, they would gladly pick me up, track me off to the emergency room.
Oh man! Speaking of young and foolish, though, remember when I was in your apartment, or not apartment, but your room, your bedroom window? I was yelling out there with a megaphone. Remember that? And you got really pissed at me, and
I remember that.
And I said, "Don King's an asshole."
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
you
gotta love
said, "What the
that guy.
fuck are you doing,
Plus,
bro?"
he's got Mike Tyson in his corner. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's got Mike Tyson in his corner, bro.
Well, I think you were mainly you were like, bro, they know my dad and all this stuff, and he's gonna get in trouble, man, or something you said to
more
me,
like
and then
more like shit rolls downhill, bro.
okay.
Eventually, it would get to me.
Okay, and they'd be like, control your fucking son.
Hmm.
But bro, that day, man, you definitely showed me you know some fighting skills, man, because you like twisted me up like a pretzel, and my hand was all my hand was all
No,
crooked.
wait a minute. Well, I thought that those so-called fighting skills happened on the fifth floor of Richard R. Green, and it wasn't with you.
No, yeah. Oh, well, just for those who don't know, Richard R. Green High School of Teaching. That's a school that we went to for high school. It was a concept school to teach everybody to be teachers. And yeah, no, we did fight
I
though.
mean, they should know if they listen to the program. I mean, we mentioned it like 3, 4 times
Oh yeah, I guess
on
we
the
did.
last
Yes,
episode. Yeah, but that's
but
okay. You go ahead. You feel it.
but you're probably thinking about what you did to Marcel,
Oh,
right?
bro, do you really have to bring up names, man?
Oh,
That guy's gonna be
sorry.
looking for me, bro.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll edit
no,
that.
no, no. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
It was a misunderstanding.
right. I remember that
Young
day.
damsel in distress was, a little um, uncomfortable with how he was approaching her and touching her, and
Yeah.
I tried to stop him, and he took a swing at me, and it
Man,
just happened. I just
you
defended
were like
myself.
you were
I mean,
like freaking you were like Jackie Chan or Jet Li or something. He didn't know what hit him. He was like, "What the hell is going on?" He's twisted
or
up
or or,
like a
or
pretzel.
better yet, instead of Jackie Chan or Jet Li, better yet, you can use what my son has said one time. Oh,
Oh,
Daddy
don't tell me
went
you twisted
Jason
him up,
Bourne 2.0 on him.
Jason Bourne 2.0. Did you twist
That
up your
the
son too?
youngest. No, it wasn't my son. No,
Ah,
no, it
somebody
wasn't
else
my son. It was
in
some,
front of your
yeah,
son.
some character. I mean, he was way out of line. He attacked my family. What am I supposed to do?
Wow. Yeah, I always
Yeah,
thought you were like Steven Seagal yourself. You were like.
I wish. I wish, but no, I was not. Oh, it's like when we took kung fu. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember LT. Rest in peace. There goes one for
I
your
know.
deaf crew.
Yeah, yeah.
Although
LT.
he died many, many years ago.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I remember you told me about him. Man.
uh, I was more worried about form and like I was about to take a picture,
Mhm.
than strength and power and all that.
Right.
In fact, he said that you're the one who had the strength and the power and the anger that needed to be harnessed.
Yeah, I remember that. He thought I was going to be some kind of. I guess if I really honed in on.
I guess if that broomstick hit me in the head, I'd be the same way too.
Yeah, I did get smacked in the head by Renee with a kicked in the head. Yeah, man, that hurt.
It wasn't just kicked. At the beginning, for those of you who've never heard of this kung fu endeavor that we had, LT, our sensei, master, whatever you want to call him, he used to start every class with beatings of broomsticks, broomstick beatings, all kinds of
Yeah,
broomsticks. I mean, they were from thin to thick, dense, wet, dry. And we had to do a series of blocks. So the very first blow that he would give us was to the left of the head, the right of the head, and then he'd go for the shins. So you had to jump up, and then he'd come straight down the middle of your head. You know,
wow. Yeah, I remember that.
Jeff was bro man here was a little frustrated that day and not concentrated, and he missed, and the broomstick went across his head. And that was that same day that Renee kicked you in the head when we were
Yes.
doing our
Oh
exercises,
man. Yep. And then he told me,
and you were
yeah,
pissed.
he told me to use that anger as
He
positive
said, "That's
energy.
good."
as what is it called? Chi?
Now I just
Like
said
inner
that
chi?
like yes, exactly. I just said that's good, but I realized that I kind of uh, emulated his voice as if he were Antonio
Yeah,
Banderas or something.
that's good. Puss in Boots. No. Yeah, man. Good times though, man. We have stories for sure like that, and I'm hoping to do that in the next episode as well. Like talk about stories like that in our childhood and our teen years, and I think we have a lot of good stories to tell. So
Probably still recite word for word in an Antonio Banderas accent. What he said to you, when you were pissed after Renee kicked you in the head.
uh-huh.
You know, he said, "That's good. That's good. That's what you have to do. You have to harness that anger. That anger, you have to harness it. This is the motherfucker that talked fresh to your sister.
Yes.
This is the
You did
motherfucker
say that.
that talked fresh to your mother. You have to kill him."
Yes. And it got me more angry.
That's good. Right on.
I was like, I wanted to kill Renee. And I was just kidding. I like Renee.
I remember us after class, we're hightailing to the
Oh
train
yeah.
station. I think it was
And
number
we
5.
felt like we could take on the world, right?
And we were talking about, yeah, but we were talking about, bro, what's up with all these people saying like talking fresh to your mother?
Yeah,
talking fresh.
like it was
Who the
true.
fuck love that, talking fresh.
Oh man, those
Yeah,
good
but
old days, bro.
he was a good. He had his issues.
That's
One of the things I most remember about him beating us up with a 40 in his hand and never spilling a drop.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this man was like 4 foot nothing.
Yeah. He was a shorty.
But
he was solid though.
I remember when we met
solid.
him, it was at your uncle's birthday party.
Right. Uncle Miguel. Yeah.
Your uncle that they call bacalao.
Yeah, bacalao, yeah. Yep.
That's right. Yeah, and this guy was just talking so much shit. He was pissing both of us off. And we were like, man, you take him from the left, I take him from the right. We're gonna teach this guy lessons. Shut the fuck up. And then he started talking about kung fu. Hey, whoa, hold up, bro. Step back.
Yeah. Yep. And then didn't he kick us both or punch?
We were flying across.
Yeah, he punched and kicked both of us or something.
He punched me in the chest and kicked you.
Took us both on.
Yeah, we were flying across the rooms and shit.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
There's some amazing shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he got
sure, bro.
I'll say that much.
But we're gonna go ahead and move on because we gotta take a break. All right. So
we got off topic of your death people.
That's good. No, it's okay. I was done with that.
I think we covered them.
Yeah, we covered them, and
we added more people. We added LT to that list. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. He was a interesting man.
And one final thing about LT, that's his abbreviated title or his name that he goes by, LT, but it's really called. It's really supposed to be Latin Tiger.
Oh, I did not know that he was
the developer of the magnetic system.
Wow.
Here.
Yeah, that's what he used to do. Here. Oh man.
Just do it.
Just do it. Like Antonio. Oh shit.
I'm telling you, man.
So
for some reason, every time I talk about LT, it comes out like Antonio Banderas. I don't know.
Well, he's the Latino tiger.
But let's move on. We're about to take a break.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. We're going to get into the topic of the week now, but before we do that, I forgot to mention about the my favorite football team in the NFL, which is Washington Redskins. And currently they have a new name, albeit, it's temporary. They're going to be going by the Washington football team. And yeah, I think it sounds silly, but yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
rather
it's
boring.
really boring. No,
It's
but
not catchy, It's not
but
like
it's only
Dallas
temporary. No, hey,
Cowboys.
don't mention the Cowboys around me. Hey, you know, all these fans out there,
I'm
all
just
these
saying.
Redskins fans are gonna go against you if you say that again. Oh man,
I'm just saying.
that's
I
like
mean, it
the
doesn't sound cool like the Dallas Cowboys.
that's like the Hatfields and McCoys, man. You got to keep them separated, like Offspring said. Um, no, I'm just teasing. So many people who never really said the word anyways, who never said Redskins because they felt that it was a slur and all that, which I do think it is, and I talked about that in one of my episodes by myself. I was mentioning, it's a racist term, it's a derogatory. Just go ahead and change it. But to be called the Washington football team, I don't know. I know that a lot of people that didn't want to use that word,
Boring.
that's what they would use anyways because they didn't have any other name. But so yeah, we got that. So, but that's only for
I
until
mean,
they get the
couldn't come up with
trademarks.
they couldn't come up with something like the Washingtonians or something. I mean,
Well,
the
I think
Washington
what happened
football
is,
team. That kind of sounds boring.
yeah, but there's a gentleman, a guy in Virginia. I think he's a realtor or something,
Mm,
and he
mm.
trademarked a whole lot of the names that they could possibly go to, whether it's Washington Red
Smart.
Tails. Yeah. So now they have to pay his ass, to get the names. I think
Yeah,
he's got Red Tails. I think he's
yeah.
got Red Wolves. I think he's got,
Smart as a motherfucker. I'll tell you that.
yeah, that's what
Hmm.
I heard. Yeah. People say that was
Every
pretty
time
smart
that
move.
the name is said, he gets a paycheck. Ching
Hmm.
ching, ching ching,
Isn't that
ching
crazy?
ching.
Yeah, that's a smart move,
Mm-hmm.
I guess,
Antonio
and
Banderas would be his best friend.
I'm just upset because we ended up with the temporary name Washington Football. But no, it's all good.
And,
Whatever.
and and it just sounds so boring.
It does. And then you should see the uniforms. They have they're gonna have a number on their helmet, their number. So
Hmm.
instead of a logo,
Like their jersey number, logo,
their jersey number. Yep.
number. I
Hmm.
mean,
And then across their chest, it'll just say
will be on their
Washington.
helmet.
They look like a college team.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just all going to shit.
Hell,
And
Allen University has a therapist. That sounds
mhm.
better than the Washington football team. Yeah.
Well, some say that they can even
I mean,
beat.
I'm not a football guy. I don't even know the rules to football if my life depended on it.
Some say the Terrapins can probably beat
Damn.
the Washington Redskins. So you have that.
Oh, it's that
The
bad,
way
huh?
they play. But yeah, they're pretty bad. And they've been bad for like 20 years, as long as I've been a fan.
So, bro, I got to stop you there for a minute, bro. I got to stop you there for a minute.
Yeah. What's up?
So, explain this to me. I once went with my former wife, Helen, to a Terrapins football game,
Oh, did you?
you
Okay.
know, and I'm there and I'm watching. I didn't understand anything that was happening. I saw some guys running up and down the field and chasing this egg-shaped brown stitched up thing that they call a ball, and I did enjoy the band. I'll tell you that. I enjoyed the bands playing.
Right.
And but my question to you is
Mhm.
this: you know how these people stand up and make this wave? I mean, I was kind of late on that wave thing, you know,
Yeah.
but why do they do that?
The only thing I can say is that,
How do you know it's time to do the wave? Because I found
uh
myself like super conscious, right? Looking all over the place to make sure that the wave wasn't coming because I didn't want to miss it,
right.
but I just don't know when, and I missed it. 2 times they did the damn wave, and 2 times I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I can say is that aesthetically it looks good. It just, that's the only.
Oh, so it's not. So how do people know it's time to do it?
I have no idea
Because
that
I really didn't
I
know.
really don't either. I don't know.
I
I've done it
stumped you, huh?
before. I've
I
done it.
stumped you.
Yeah, you stumped me, man. But maybe somebody can write to us at
Oh.
off the cuff podcast at gmail.com and write us the answer if they
You
know
know
how
what?
the
I didn't
wave
think of
came
that.
about
That's
and
yeah.
why and
No, it's not how the wave came about, but when do you
when
do
do
the
you do the
wave?
wave?
How
That's
do
the
I know
question.
the next time
Okay.
I step foot in a stadium to watch a football game that I know nothing about? How do I know it's time for me to stand up and sit my ass down again? Because I missed it.
Right.
Both times I missed it.
Right. Well, yeah. People write in. Write in. Tell us the answer. When do you know to do that damn wave? To stand up and sit out. Uh, but I was gonna say that the quarterback that we used to have, Alex Smith, who used to play for another team called the 49ers long ago, was traded to us in
That sounds better than the Washington football team.
he was traded to us, I think it was 2017, 2018. Anyway, he broke his leg in November of 2018. And I think he broke it in like 3 places. I mean, it was a pretty,
Jesus,
yeah, it was bad, bro. It was brutal. And so
that sent chills up my spine, man.
He's been out this whole time. And now the doctors have cleared him to come back and play football at the age of 34, going on 35. I mean, that to me is crazy, man. I don't know. Some people might say and I think including myself, he should retire because coming back from that and then getting hit again by these incredibly big dudes is not productive. It's like counterintuitive, isn't it?
I can't help it but to think that maybe he missed the bandwagon on getting his body insured, especially his legs. Kind of like, in the 80s, you used to hear of these major world-renowned insurance companies that would insure like a model's legs, for example, or her hands, depending on what was the feature that made her the most money in advertising and picture taking. Like some high-end computer programmers, they insure their hands,
right?
And surgeons also insure their hands too.
Yeah,
which really makes sense.
And like Tina Turner, she insured her legs. I think J-Lo insured her ass. And yeah,
somebody's got to tell her she lost it.
She lost it. You think so? Yeah, I think so too. She got a little bit thin, didn't she?
Don't get me wrong. She went to Hollywood and
became Hollywood.
She got what I call Hollywood syndrome.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to be thin and can't eat and exercise all the time.
Right.
My ass wasn't bouncy anymore.
Yeah, a little too skinny for me. So anyway, later we're going to do some movie talk, as well as the usual shout outs towards the end of the show. I got to move a little quickly though, because we're due for another break, unfortunately. But don't move.
Already?
Well,
we didn't even get past the Washington football team.
Well, I'm. You know what? There's not much to say about that boring team. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I think a lot of. As a matter of fact, my cousin, he's a big Redskins fan. His name is Brian. I don't know if you met Brian, but he's a big Redskins fan. Yeah. And he says he might even change teams. So, I mean, a lot of people are pissed off
because of the name.
Yeah, because he grew up in DC, and a lot of people that grew up there. I got a friend named Tom Willoughby, who's known as the Taco Dubs. Shout out to Taco Dubs. He's not too happy about the name. I mean, I think he's going to go with whatever they go with, but yeah, a lot of people are pissed off about this. I'm not so much. My friend Faisal doesn't like it. He's a Silver Spring product, but DC area, and he's always known Skins. Redskins have had that name since like 1930. I want to say 37. No, 32. Sorry, 1932.
They play at the FedEx Stadium.
Right.
They should call themselves the Washington FedExers, or something like that. That sounds better than the Washington football team. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to come up with. I think. Have you ever wanted to make your own podcast? Anchor can help. It's free. The creation tools allow you to record and edit right off your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from it too. with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. They're going through a lot of trademark issues right now, and they said, they got to change over all the gear and the merchandise and all that stuff. So it's going to take a while. So for now, they're just going to be the Washington
that's
football team.
going to cost them money.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what about all those guys that played in the Super Bowl before? Under the name of Redskins.
Yeah. Like,
what are they going to do about their rings then? They're not allowed to wear them anymore.
I don't know. That's a good question, man.
What are they?
Good question.
Are they going to be issued new rings and say, Super Bowl whatever number and with the former team?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of
former FedExer. Former FedExer.
FedExer.
Yeah, they play at the FedEx Stadium, don't they?
Yeah, they do in Landover, and they even thought about moving that. So, I don't know, man. It's a mess. But
or you know what? It's like Prince. Since we're going to be talking about the '80s.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Prince,
Let's just get into the '80s. How about we do that? No, please, my ears. No.
He was known to us in the '80s as Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Then he changed his name to like a symbol or something.
Yep.
So
the artist formerly known as Prince.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The artist formerly known as.
Well, that was because of some issues he had with the entertainment business industry. Remember when he wrote "Slave" on his face?
Is that why he changed his?
Yeah,
No, actually, I don't recall.
Yeah, he was having a hard time because they wanted him to do certain things that he wouldn't have control over, and he wanted complete control over his songs, his music. I think he was very smart to do this. He wrote a whole bunch of songs. They say that it's in this vault, and that never got even released, because they were his. And he wouldn't even lend it to Guitar Hero. You ever heard of Guitar Hero, where they would play the rock and roll songs and everything, and you'd play it on the Wii. Well, it wasn't just the Wii, but there's other game consoles. But he wouldn't even put his music on there. Like he would not give permission to do that. And I think it's because of what he went through. So, but yeah.
Well, the only thing that I know about Prince, or the artist formerly known as, is when I was a kid, I guess I must have been maybe 9-10 years old or something like that. I used to listen to Michael Jackson just like every other kid, right?
Yeah.
But
talk about the '80s.
Then I started listening to maybe I'm just like my father, too poor.
Yeah.
And I started enjoying listening to Prince.
Yeah, Prince was the man.
And I used to hear all this stuff about Prince goes on his concerts and, he strips stark naked.
Yeah.
It's really funny because I jumped inside the room, where my sister was, butt naked with my dad's guitar on.
Oh, no way. No.
Singing to Prince.
Oh,
yeah,
no
man.
way.
Yeah, man. I'm Prince. Can't you tell? And,
shit.
Cracking up, told me to leave.
Yeah.
Get out of here, ugly. But I'm Prince. Watch me play,
Wow. How old were you when you did that? 12 or so? 10? Okay. All right. 10 is good.
Yeah, 9 or 10. Yeah. I think I was 9, actually. It was right around the time my parents divorced. So
that sounds about right, because Prince was...
initially, we lived with my dad.
Prince was huge.
1985-ish.
Especially around that time, so yeah. And also bands like...
Oh, and then the other interesting fact that I know about him, I believe it's a fact. I'm guessing it's a fact. As I mentioned in the previous episode, my former brother-in-law and I, we used to, have all these conversations and stuff. And he said that Prince actually wrote the Bananarama song for Karate Kid.
Ah,
it's a cruel, cruel summer.
It's a
Yeah, he
cruel,
said that he
cruel
was dating one of the chicks,
summer. Yeah.
and he made the song for him. Yeah,
Okay. Wow, I didn't know
didn't
that.
even charge
I
him.
knew that Prince wrote a lot of songs though.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He wrote a lot.
and what a
He
way to
wrote
impress a
I
gal,
think he
right?
wrote a song for the Bangles too. Not sure. Bangles was another
Hmm.
big group back in the 80s. Duran Duran was a big group. Remember them?
Oh, that's right.
Jesus
That's right. My
Jesus
sister's favorite band of all time. Duran
yeah,
Duran.
Jesus Jones is another group. What's the name of the group that sang? Remember that song we used to listen to all the time? This was back in the 90s and we used to it was called Save a Prayer for Later or something. Save a Prayer.
That's
Don't
Duran Duran.
say a prayer. Is that Duran Duran? Okay.
No, don't save a
Yes.
prayer for me now.
Save it till
Save
the
it till
morning.
the
Yep.
morning after. No, don't say a prayer for me now. Yeah,
Yep.
my I only know the song because of my sister.
Okay.
That was her favorite group, and she used to play it night and day. And
Yeah.
I used to wake up to that song, go to sleep to that song, and
Yeah.
you know.
And just for those of you who don't know, also Ulika and I were really like brothers, man. I stayed over his house so much that his dad asked him if I had a family to go to. I remember that. I remember that. Remember that? And
Yes, I do.
that was hilarious. Does this Jeff has a family? I think your dad sounded like Sean Connery, right, bro?
I believe
Yeah, I
so.
think he
Yes,
sounded.
in fact, they look alike.
Matter of
To
fact,
be
yeah, they
honest,
do. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I-
You know what's funny?
yeah, they do.
I
Yeah.
got a friend named Tom Willoughby. Remember, I told you Tom, and I think you might have met
Mhm.
him too back in the
I
day.
remember Tom.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. He paid for my movie ticket just before I went into boot camp.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah,
didn't know
three
we
of us
got
went
that
out
much
to the movie.
involved with each other. Yeah, yeah. He's a good dude, man. And we finally reconnected
Mhm.
again, and we keep in touch all the time now. He's actually I can't say who he works for, but he works for I'll tell you later for a big department, um, government
Hmm.
department, and
I remember he took off. I believe he went to South Korea, didn't he?
I oh, you know what I think who I think no, maybe you're thinking of someone else.
No, no, no. I might be confusing the South Korea issue with someone else, but yeah.
No, but
Anyway, we don't want to compromise the dude.
right, yeah, but no, Tom, his dad looks like Michael Caine. I'm
Hmm.
I swear to God, I met him when I was in my early 20s, well actually mid 20s, and Tom is a little younger than I am. He's probably like 20. He was 21 or so, 22, and I was 25. But yeah, his dad looked just like Michael Caine when I met him, and your dad resembles Sean Connery. So it's so funny that uh, I have friends that have famous
Yes.
looking dads. And then when I saw my dad, I always describe him when I saw him in 2011 when he was sickly and ready to pass away. Unfortunately, he looked like Bob Barker. Like that's how I describe him. And so
Bob
that's interesting.
Barker.
Yeah, Bob Barker. Price is right. The price is right, bitch.
Oh, seriously? You look like him?
He looked like him.
The
To
guy
me,
with
he
the
did.
long, thin microphone?
Yeah. To me, he did. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
he
heard
didn't.
that.
I'll
I
show you
heard
a
that
picture.
Bob Barker was a.
Mhm.
I heard Bob Barker was a womanizer.
Yeah, yeah. And that talk about the 80s. That's another show that was big in the 80s. Um, and just big for a long time after. But yeah, supposedly he was like sexual harassment and all this stuff. He was touching the
Hmm.
females on the show, I think.
Hmm.
They sued him or something. I mean, it was crazy. Crazy. But yeah, that's Bob. I hope that's, stuff that, is not true, but yeah, I'm pretty sure something happened. I mean, it's kind of like the whole Bill Cosby thing. I didn't want that to be true, bro. Bill Cosby in the 80s,
I
man,
didn't either.
he was the man, you know. We used to watch that damn show all the time,
Yeah,
Cosby Show. And
yeah.
here he is,
Doop, doo, doo,
hmm
doo, 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 doo,
Yep.
doo.
That's the best elevator music I ever heard. Yeah, remember that? But yeah, and then Different World was the spinoff with Lisa Bonet and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was hoping that wasn't true, but that's he's in jail now and he's 80 something years old. I mean, you know, he's probably gonna die in there. So unfortunately, but back to death. Here I am. Here I am back to death. Damn it. I can't get away from it. But there was so many other things that were, when I was young, let me just tell you about my 80s basically, because you grew up in on Roosevelt Island. Were you in the
On
Roosevelt Island?
Roosevelt Island, yes.
Okay.
I was on Roosevelt Island,
Tell the
yes.
people where that is.
That is a 2 mile long island, just about 2.25 miles long, tip to tip, that sits in between Queens and Manhattan on the East River. And as a matter of fact, there is an anchor, what they call an anchor, um, for the Queensboro Bridge right on that island as well.
Yeah. I
And it used to
remember
be a prison.
I remember seeing that island. You took me there a couple times and it was kind of cool, man. I enjoyed it. So I think we did a little run around the island. So,
It
but
was a
if you,
nice place to grow up. It was
yeah,
isolated from the rest of New York, so to speak. I think in the 80s, the big issues that we had there was, what we used to call the Queens kids coming over and, causing havoc.
oh,
As a matter of fact, when I first came to this country, I was mugged.
ooh,
I didn't really speak English at all. Not really. I
wow,
didn't speak English at all. It was like my first month or so there. And these two teens, as part of some gang initiation, they beat me up, choked me. I thought I was going to die, and
ooh,
took my ball.
Jesus.
My soccer ball that my dad, it was green and black.
Mhm,
And it was a ball that my dad had brought me from Switzerland when I was still in Portugal.
mhm.
They took my ball and they threw it in the river. My watch that my grandfather gave me,
Jeez.
that he bought in Hong Kong,
Oh,
they stole that, you know. And even me, without being able to speak English, I went with my sign language. And they have their own private little security force on the island there.
uh-huh.
And they were able to capture these two individuals. It was like Abbott and Costello. One dude was tall and skinny, he was 17, and then the other dude was short and fat, probably about 300 pounds,
Jesus.
and he
Okay.
was 19. I was 6.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and
Why would they do that to a little kid,
I
man?
didn't know what to do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But kudos to the security force or the security force of Roosevelt Island at that time, 1981, September-ish, circa.
Yeah.
They closed down the island. There's only 2 ways in and out at that time.
After that,
Either you got on a tramway and you hightailed to Manhattan,
yeah.
or you have to cross the bridge over the river, taking you into Queens.
Right.
You know, or to the area where I think the projects there were called Queensbridge.
Yeah.
In fact, Erica de Jesus, who
Uh,
was in our family group,
I know Erica.
she
Yeah.
used to live there.
I
Yeah,
had her on my Facebook for a little bit
and
until I got off of
yeah, so
Facebook.
they closed down the island and they captured these two
Yeah.
individuals.
Oh, nice.
You know,
Okay.
and here I go. They came to my house, and my mom didn't speak a word of English, and I'm trying to explain to her what happened and that I went to the police and this and that. And my mom is just trying to make sense of everything that I'm saying. She's trying to figure out if I'm lying or if I'm exaggerating or
Don't you
what.
think?
Then all of a sudden, cops at the door and she doesn't speak English. And oh my God. So we go down to the station to ID the guys, if that's my watch or not. And I said, yeah, that's my watch. And they bring out the fat guy. That's the guy that choked me,
Mm.
It was this little twerp, and I'm trying to beat him up,
Mm.
Of course, because the cops are there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They'll hold
Yeah,
you back.
so
Yeah.
that was the biggest
Wow.
issue we had on the island at that time. Other than that, it was a great place to live.
Yeah. And would you have that you remember Say like in a good way, like certain foods or certain things that, were,
Bagels with cream cheese, slices of pizza.
yeah, oh, pizza. Pizza in New York to me was the
Yeah,
best
man.
anyways, man.
Oh,
But
that's no. Chicago doesn't have a damn thing on
well,
pizza from New York, bro.
a lot of people like to pit them against each other, but I think it's like apples and oranges, to be honest, because Chicago does the thick stuff, like I think they have
Yes, the
some
deep
thin stuff
dishes,
too, but yeah, they do
the deep
deep dish.
dishes,
Yeah,
and they put
most
a
of them.
lot of stuff on them. It's
Yeah,
not the same
it's not the
as New
same.
York pizza.
No, New
You
York
know, as
pizza has
kids,
a,
we grew up
yep.
eating pizza for lunch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I
Oh man,
remember
we
even at Maria's. Maria's was a
yes, yes.
pizzeria
I
that
was
we
just
used to
about to
go
say
to
that.
for lunch every other day.
Yeah, yeah. I love going
You
there.
know,
It was almost like Happy
and
Days where
pizza back then was
they had a place to go to. We always had a place to go to, which was awesome. We'd meet up
I
there,
think
eat
that's
some
Cheers,
pizza.
bro.
No, no, no. I meant the Happy Days. When they went to their little diner that they always used to meet up at.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
I got
yeah. But we had kind of
you.
like a
Exactly.
Cheers. We had the Stone Crow.
Exactly. Yeah, we
But
did. We did. We were
that's
underage. We
we
were
were.
underage,
Yeah.
but we looked older, especially me, because,
The beard.
like I started growing a beard when I was like
Yeah.
10. But yeah,
But
man,
anyways,
that was a great place.
but
You
but let's get
remember us having a gentleman's wager with cops at the Stone Crow? How nervous the waitress was?
yes, yes. And I'd
And,
like
and we lost, so we had to buy them a pitcher of beer. And then
yeah,
she came and slipped us a note. You guys are playing your luck.
yeah,
Time to leave.
yep. Oh yeah. Is that the one we left like a penny to as a tip?
No,
That was a different one.
no, that wasn't the one.
Okay.
That was a different one.
Yeah.
Now she knew we didn't have money, and she's the one who told us to get a pitcher instead of beers, individual
Ah,
beers. The pitcher
yes.
was like $2, and individual beers were like $5, $6 a piece.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I remember
she
that.
said
I
that way
remember
you
that.
guys
Yeah.
have money to get the buffalo wings. It was the first time I ever had buffalo
And
wings.
ever since then,
Was
we
at the
would get a
Stone
picture,
Crow.
right?
Exactly.
Whenever we went. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. I remember
And
her.
we would
Okay.
go there because they had a pool table that we could play at for free, so long as we were consuming something.
Yeah, and we weren't making a
And
big
these
fuss or
cops,
anything.
these off-duty cops come in there, to relax and wind down, and
Yeah,
badges all over the place. Well, how about a gentleman's wager? Guys. It's just like, oh man, those
yeah.
are cops, aren't they?
Yep, I remember.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
Good
But
times, man. Good
anyways,
times.
that was mostly what was the 90s, right? But back to the 80s.
The first time
And
we stepped in
uh
was 1990. So yes, let's go
so
backwards.
it was very beginning of 90s. So,
Yeah,
but
we
I'm
were
going
we
to,
were in the 10th.
yeah, I think we were in 10th grade. Yep. 10th grade, man,
Yeah,
going into
we were.
bars. But anyways, that's us in a nutshell. We never, I always considered myself a rebel without a clue. And,
Yeah, I remember you were into James Dean.
yes, yeah, I still am. I love James Dean. But now I'm older and I still rebel against things, but in a different way. I know that I'm not, that little punk ass 15-year-old anymore. But yeah, speaking of which, growing up in the Bronx when let me see, 1980, we were 5, right? And we went from 5 years old all the way to 1989 when we were 14. And that's when we met. So that's why I
Hmm.
wanted to really ask you like your 80s versus my 80s, because we had the same things, but like if you were raised in the Bronx, for instance, the majority of people there were Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Dominican, you had all sorts. And if you were born there and raised there, you would remember coquitos. I don't know if you remember. They're like Italian ices. Did you guys ever have that on Roosevelt
Yep.
Island? Or,
No, we every once in a while we would have what we called Italian
Okay.
ices.
And we call them coquitos. Like Puerto Ricans always gave names to the, things that they had. And we had this one thing called limbes, which are like a variation of ices. It's like in a cup and it's a big ice block, but it was all like coconut or cherry or lemon, and it was so freaking good. And then we even had this thing called piraguas, which was crushed ice with some sweet flavored syrup poured over it. And it was like a guy in the street. I was just telling my daughter about this. It was a guy in the street just, with a big block of ice, just, and we'd get this crushed ice and then he'd pour these, we'd ask him for the flavor that we wanted and he'd pour, it was so freaking delicious. So now I'm thinking of doing that for my daughter and my son. Just kind of bring back that old memory. But yeah, so I remember that was a big 80s thing, man. And whether you were, Hispanic, black, white, it didn't matter. Like that was the culture in the Bronx. So, kind of like if you go to, I'm sure in California, it was tacos and whatever else, horchatas, which I love, by the way, horchatas. Oh my God. But
oh yeah, I love those things.
Yeah, man. Well, but and I'm sure in a different place it would be different also. But yeah, there was so many things, man. My sister had these dolls. I don't know if you remember them. Cabbage Patch Kids. Yeah.
Oh yes.
She still has, I think.
I remember.
I think she still has like 2 of them. Yeah, I mean,
I remember kids used to cry over
that shit. Bro. They would name them. They would come with like a certificate. I mean, I think my sisters are named Debbie and Kevin. Yeah. And meanwhile, I was playing with Stretch Armstrong, just stretching the shit out of this jelly man. And and Viewmasters. You remember Viewmasters, bro? You got to.
That I do not.
You don't? Look them up. I'm telling you, you'll be like, oh shit, I kind of remember that, because I think every kid must have had one. In the 80s, the music, was just off the chain, man. I loved the music in the 80s. The cheesy movies.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
The cheesy movies that had those soundtracks, like you said, from like Bananarama and like Karate Kid now is I sat my kids down and I said, this is the original Karate Kid.
Jackie Chan, there's Jackie Chan and
Jaden Smith.
I think it's Will Smith.
Jaden Smith. Yeah, Will Smith's son.
Jaden Smith.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. Still it was pretty good.
I think so. I think it was good.
It's not the same. It didn't have the same feeling as
not at all.
Ralph Macchio. That wasn't Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio, yeah.
It was Ralph Macchio, right?
Dude, that guy's like in his 50s, and he still looks like he's like in his 30s or something. It's funny, but
right,
yeah. It didn't have the same feel, and so my kids, they actually, of course, liked the new one over the old one, but my daughter actually enjoyed the old one, and my son, I think, wanted to see the other one more, but I told him that there was the Karate Kid Part 2, the Karate Kid Part 3, and then there's like a girl Karate Kid. I think she's in the next Karate Kid. I think Hilary Swank played on that one, but anyway, yeah, it was incredible, man. And another thing I remember, bro, that you probably, I don't know if you were into this, the WWF. That used to be, that is now known as the WWE.
There was a time, during the time when they changed the name.
Well, yes, in the 90s. They had these shirts.
The World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, but you know what happened? What happened is the World Wrestling Federation, right? But that was WWF. But then Worldwide, I think, I forgot what it's called, but the Panda Association, they would go by WWF, and they had a fight over that, and so the WWF turned into the WWE, where they had these shirts that said "Get the F out." which I thought was pretty cool. And that's when Stone Cold, Steve Austin, remember him? You probably didn't watch much in the 90s.
No, by that time I wasn't paying attention.
But you have to have heard of
it. In the 80s, I did watch it.
Yeah, with Hulk Hogan. You've watched it with Hulk Hogan.
Hogan,
yes. Andre the Giant. Oh, yeah. Man, those were the great days, man. The Junkyard Dog.
Yes, and then they had that Iranian guy.
Oh,
they
yes.
called him the Sheik or something.
Yeah, Iron Sheik. Crazy motherfucker in real life, by the way.
The Iron Sheik.
Crazy motherfucker.
And then there was that Russian dude.
Nikolai Volkov.
With the hammer and sickle.
Nikolai Volkov. But
was that his name?
Yes, check this out, though. I got an interesting story about that guy. My friend Darren, I got a friend named Darren Williams, right? I worked with him and everything. Darren, he told me that I worked with him in Baltimore County when I had my government job there in Towson. And he told me that in that gym that they had there, I think they have like a gym for employees and stuff. He would go work out there, bro. He worked at the government for a while. Can you believe that shit? Fucking Nikolai Volkov, bro.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that was the best story ever. Yeah. And he said that dude was fucking huge. I don't know. I think I don't know what he did, to be honest. I don't know what he worked in. Darren would know, I'm sure. And I'm shouting out to Darren, by the way. He's my homeboy. That guy's so cool, man. He's like, I call him smooth operator. He doesn't his calmness doesn't waver no matter what. But yeah, so he told me Nikolai Volkov, man.
Go on, player, go on.
What's that?
Darren.
Oh yeah, I'll ask a lot of my buddies to come on and talk to us and stuff. I'd love that. I love like a discussion thing, board or something like that. But yeah, they had back in the 80s had the big hair, the hair bands. Remember that? The rock bands that had all this, like Warrant. I used to listen to these things too, but I was afraid to tell people because I lived in the Bronx where it was the birthplace of hip hop. And if you're not into hip hop and you're into something else, they'd probably beat your ass, So I was afraid to tell people that I liked, say for instance, Skid Row. I liked Guns N' Roses. Right. I still like Guns N' Roses. Sweet Child of Mine and all that. Oh man, I liked it. Def Leppard. The only thing I wasn't in, I like Poison. The only thing I wasn't into was metal. I couldn't stand heavy metal. But guess what? Heather, as you call her H, she was into heavy metal, she said, which I couldn't even tell by looking at her. But yeah, she said she liked heavy metal. She liked, beyond like just Metallica. Because do you remember in high school, there was these two guys, Izzy, they were twins, I think, Izzy, and they were like a grade above us. Izzy and I don't know what the other guy's name is, but they had long hair. They were like Hispanic dudes, and they wore these jackets. I don't know if they were jean jackets or leather jackets, but they had like the name Metallica on the back, Pantera. They were totally into metal music, and I was like, whoa, because I never got into that stuff. Anyway, but it was the 80s. It was the 80s. It was the early 90s, and people love that stuff. Madonna was huge, right? Madonna was huge back then. I mean, they had shit
like a virgin.
Like a Virgin.
For the very first time.
I just heard today. I think Like a Virgin was written by a dude. Yeah, written by a dude, bro. That's crazy. And
I don't think it would have been. It would have sounded the same.
Not by a dude.
Popularity if it wasn't.
It would have to be like a geek. Oh, speaking of geeks, how about the Revenge of the Nerds? Do you remember Revenge of the Nerds?
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, I love that shit.
Or Porky's Revenge.
Yes, Porky's Revenge. All those movies that were like taboo, but at the same time, they kind of like, we were kids and we were watching this like, oh, what are we seeing here? Boobies? And oh man. I
Exactly.
loved it.
You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Well, why do boobs do that to men? Like, why do boobs are, that's another subject, but you know, we are like so fascinated by titties. Like, I love titties, but, but, I'm an ass man myself, but titties do something to me. I like cleavage and all that, I'm like, yeah, but yeah, women hate that nowadays. They don't want to be, objectified. So that's another thing we can talk about, the Me Too movement later on. And how life has just changed.
Now, hold on. As far as I understand it, the Me Too movement is about something else, though.
Yeah, no, I was making a joke.
Right?
Yeah. It's basically, yeah, it's Me Too movement. I agree with it. It's taking down the men that use their power, like their position, in power to basically sexually harass women and rape them and that's terrible stuff. Like I'm not meaning to make fun of that, but um just the fact that the Me Too movement went to, when they start these movements, they go far left, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They end up, like Me Too started becoming like any woman now is like offended by anything you say to her. You have a nice dress on today. You look nice in that dress. That's like, oh, really? I'm going to tell my boss you are hitting on me. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying you look nice. I mean, you know what I mean? And that's where I was going with that. But it could be misconstrued, and I apologize. But yeah, another
Well,
thing.
I have an excuse for that.
You have an excuse.
For that.
What's the excuse?
I walk around and I say, "Hey, love, how are you?" And sometimes I get
Yeah, see now.
I'm European. you know.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Europeans are way different than Americans when it comes to they're a lot more flexible, right?
I think people are just on
When it
edge
comes to
about
that.
almost everything, but
Everything. Goodness gracious.
you really just don't know what someone's back is, the
Hmm.
word or shit like that.
Right. And I get that. But,
Yeah.
it's kind of annoying because you can't be yourself anymore. You got to be somebody a little different. I think a lot of people feel that way. They just don't want to say it, you know. And when they do, they get labeled as bad people. It's like, oh, you just don't want to respect women. No, I do respect women. I mean, I was raised by women mainly,
Believe it or not, I'm the biggest respecter of women.
Well, I'm not going to try and sound like Trump or anything. I'm the
Well, I'm
biggest
not like Trump.
respecter of women ever. No, I know you're not. I'm
Oh
kidding.
shit! Don't tell me he said that. I didn't know.
No, he did. He says
for
he
me,
says things like, "Yeah, go ahead."
for me, a woman is nothing short of a work of art. To be honest,
A woman.
I mean, everyone looks different.
Hmm.
It could be skinny, tall, short, fat,
Right.
oblong, oddly shaped. But I think every woman has her own beauty, you know. And if you love women, right? As Wanda says, I love women, and that bothers her. But
Oh,
it's
that bothers
just,
her. Mm.
of course, it bothers her. It bothers her that I love women.
Right.
But she doesn't say it like that. She says you love fucking women. You know, it's just like, jeez, okay, relax.
Well, she does know there's more than what woman in the world. There's so many different kinds.
Exactly. And it's not that it's anything sexual or anything like that. It's
Right.
just
Well,
I think the
we
most beautiful
appreciate
thing
that.
is a woman.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I think the most
for
beautiful
sure.
thing in the world is a woman.
As a woman, that's correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
I
believe
think
that too. I'm just. I think that you and I are. I think you more than I, but are just flirtatious in nature. I think I've become more like that, and we just like to have a good conversation. And if it's with a beautiful woman, why not? right? I mean, it makes it even that much better, Even just a woman who's intriguing. Not she doesn't necessarily have to be gorgeous, right? Um,
Exactly.
and I just feel like,
Well, hold on. Let me
why not
back up on
enjoy
that
that?
one. Let me clarify on that part that you said about gorgeous.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be gorgeous. I think every woman
Okay.
in her own right is gorgeous. And gorgeous
Ah,
is really to the eye of the beholder. And the eye of the beholder is typically influenced by the media. So,
right. That's true.
women, when they're girls, they grow up thinking that to be beautiful, you have to look like this. That's not true, you know.
Yes. Yeah, and that's terrible. I don't like that either, especially now. I have a daughter, and I'm thinking, when all those magazines come in the house, the Cosmopolitan
Hmm.
and all that, I throw them away. I don't want her looking at what they think a woman should be when, you know, they should, like you said, a woman should be appreciated, should be, is the most gorgeous thing, even if they're not what society says is gorgeous. So I meant to not turn that
I think.
into that, but I meant to keep talking about the 80s. But we can, I guess, kind of relate that to the 80s where, you had Farrah Fawcett, the Charlie's
Hey, with the
Angels.
leggings and
Yep. You
the
had Jane
tights
Fonda.
that they
Yep.
used to wear, with the ankle warmers, of the
Yeah,
80s,
yeah, I remember
along with
that.
the headband and
And,
the
and how about
and
the,
the one shoulder t-shirt, the one shoulder t-shirt
yes.
that
Oh
used to
my God,
cover one shoulder and the other shoulder. Oh yeah, man, I
that's a,
love that.
yeah,
Oh, let's not forget about the hairstyles
the
of the
hairstyles.
80s.
Man, they use like so much
Yeah.
Aquanet to keep it in place. Man, I have cousins who showed me pictures of themselves when they were younger, and they're beautiful women, by the way, now. But they back then they were still beautiful, but they were like the hair was just crazy big, and it was all
Hmm.
hairspray. So
Hmm.
it was hilarious,
Yep.
hilarious.
Yep. Yep.
I remember.
But
Mhm. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but somehow in the 90s, that seemed to have changed.
Uh-huh.
Having these poof hairs that they had back in the 80s, all of a sudden it was too
Yeah,
much
it
work.
changed.
And
Yeah,
women or girls at that time started, in the 90s, they started simplifying it. Why the hell should I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get ready to leave the house at 8? You know,
right, right.
you know, so they just slap on some eyeliner and pull their hair back and, twist it a couple of times and put that little elastic thing that they put on,
Yeah, yep.
you know. But I like
Yeah,
the
why
I
not?
like the '80s hairstyle.
Yep. Why not make it simplified, right? But yeah, the 80s made it just extravagant. Um, I
Yeah,
was watching the other day, Walter Mercado. Remember him?
I have no idea who that is.
Walter Mercado?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Walter Mercado. Should I Google
Okay.
him?
So think of Liberace, right?
Okay.
But he's Puerto Rican and he looks
Okay.
almost like Liberace, and he has all the, there's a cape and he has all the rings and all. He has that feminine quality about himself, and
Hmm.
he would always go. He would talk about the astrology, basically the Aries, Pisces, whatever you were. He would read your
Oh, that guy.
that guy. He was on Spanish TV, so I wouldn't blame you for not knowing him. But Telemundo and Univision and all that stuff. But he was on that all the time in the 80s. It was huge. And I think even in the 90s. Um,
Hmm.
but then he disappeared. And I was and it was because he didn't really think of the business aspect of anything. He wasn't a selfish man, right? So he wanted to just
Hmm.
use his name, Walter Mercado, and bring love and happiness to people. And he did. But the business side of it is brutal, and they were talking about rights to his name, that he couldn't use it anywhere else. They would stop him from making film. I mean, not films, but, going on TV. I mean, it's a good documentary if you ever want to see that on Netflix. And I feel bad for the guy. He actually passed away, I think, 2018, I want to say, or 2019.
Hmm.
But, you know, he was a good dude, man. And he would always end his shows by saying, y mucho, mucho amor, right?
Hmm.
And it was always about love for him. And, so he was like a big deal because people were like in Puerto Rico, people here, or people in the Bronx would always like everything would stop when he was on TV. I have to hear my sign, that kind of thing. Uh, and if your sign was the one where you had to wait all that time, it still wouldn't matter because you would love hearing him talk, you know. And
Hmm.
anyways, so I thought that was a big thing in the 80s. Um, it had
Did your mother
arcades.
listen to him?
Oh, yeah. We would sit around as a whole family, bro, and just when I remember being like 8 years old and just sitting around waiting for this guy to come on TV, bro. That's how big he was. And his show was, I don't even know how long his show was. I think it was only like 30 minutes. But we would sit around waiting for him and we'd love it. It was a big deal. Along with, watching all the other TV shows like Chips and Knight Rider. And we'd watch that as a
Down,
family.
down, down,
That's an,
down,
oh,
down,
Magnum
down,
PI.
down,
Magnum
down,
PI.
down, down, down. No, that's the Chips theme.
Oh, okay. Well, you started out, it sounded like Magnum PI, but yeah, that's
No,
another 80s
Magnum
show.
PI is more like
Dun,
down,
dun,
down,
dun,
down.
dun. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You
Dun,
know they have
dun,
a
dun,
remake
dun,
of
dun.
Magnum
Oh,
PI,
how
right?
about the A Team? What? You said what? I missed
They
that
have a
part.
remake of Magnum PI.
Yes, I know. Yep, I've seen that. They also have a remake of Hawaii Five O, which I think ended now. They also had. I don't think they ever did Chips again, but they did a Chips movie.
Oh, they did do a Chips movie. That was
That
hilarious.
was funny as
I
heck.
love
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, my kids love that movie.
And I used to watch. They also did 21 Jump Streets, which is 21 Jump Street as a movie, which was called. Was the first one called 21 Jump Street, and then I think the second one was called
It
22nd
was.
Jump Street or something like that. With
Exactly. Yeah,
with
yeah.
Nick Jonas, not Nick Jonas, uh, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, and that's how I got my
Hmm.
name, Jefe, because that movie came out around I think 2015. I want to say 2016. I don't know. No, maybe 2014. But anyways, I got this job at
Hmm.
Baltimore County, and the guys there were like, "Your name is Jeff, huh?" That in the movie, the guys, my name is Jeff, like that, and
Uh-huh.
and so they said, "Well, we'll just call you Jefe." I said, "Hey, that works. That works for me." So ever since then, they started calling me boss, bro, and I love it. So I went with it, and now I'm, how many years later? 5 years later, I'm Big Jefe. So,
Big Jefe.
but that's how I got it. Just so in case you were wondering. But that's
Oh, I
funny how
got it.
that came
I
around to that.
got it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they had, a lot of great TV shows, man. The Jeffersons, bro. I loved comedy back then, man. I was a big comedy buff. I still am. I love comedy. But the
Where move it
Jeffersons,
on
All in the
up.
Family, yeah, move it all up, bro. I still play you know what I do? We don't have a dishwasher
Uh,
in this house,
mhm.
believe it or not.
Okay.
So I wash dishes, right? My favorite soap is
Okay.
grapefruit. This sounds probably weird to everybody, but
I'll tell you what.
I find it like I find it
I'll tell you
therapeutic.
what. For about $100 online,
Uh-huh.
bro, you can get yourself a countertop dishwasher.
Countertop dishwasher. Okay. I'll I'll
Look it up. It's a
I'll
thing.
look that
I
up.
didn't know they existed.
But yeah, but for some, I don't know. Have you ever washed dishes and felt like it was therapeutic? Or is it just me? I'm just weird like that.
Um, not
Uh-huh.
not on the dishes part,
Okay.
but other things. Other things I have found to be therapeutic, like
Yeah, yeah,
working
yeah.
on my house. Believe it or not, I actually enjoy
Okay.
doing my
Yeah,
drywall.
and I enjoyed watching that on video when you sent me the videos. Is that what you're talking about when you did the drywall and then you painted it? And yep, I love
Yes,
seeing the progress.
yes, yes, yes,
That's
yes,
awesome.
exactly. I call
Oh,
that
okay.
my therapy session. And I never did. I have a couple of uncles that they were about to do
Right.
these projects. They talked about it. I said, "Oh, give me a call when you're ready. I'd love to come and help you." And no, 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 no.
This is
This is my
mine.
therapy time.
Stay away.
And I never did understand
Yeah.
that until now. Like going out and cutting my grass, for example. I have a lot of grass to cut. It's
Bruh,
actually
H
very
loves that.
therapeutic to do that.
Yeah, she loves mowing the lawn. She loves gardening.
And so does
Wanda,
Wanda. She
yes.
loves that shit too. And then I found us fucking arguing over who the hell is
Oh,
going to use the
really?
lawnmower to cut the grass.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
see,
know? Yeah. So I just decided to get Manuel to come over with his lawnmower and get
Manuel.
it done for me.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, okay.
That's his name, Manuel.
Shout out to
Kudos.
Manuel,
Shout
man.
out to my
Whoop, whoop.
landscaper, Manuel.
Yep. The Lawnmower Man.
There you go.
But that's a 90s movie, by the way, The Lawnmower Man. But anyway, so yeah, man. Yeah, over here though, H doesn't have to worry. I find that mowing lawn is just work, and so she can go ahead and do that all she wants. I give it all to her. It's just weird. I find that washing dishes is therapeutic for me, but and so I put on.
And I get that. And you know what? In your defense, I will say this: that a couple of times I've gone to go wash dishes, right? And of course, I'm dragging my feet. I'm kicking everything I see in the way. I'm slamming shit. But then I get into it. And it's like, okay, what else do I need to wash? Because in a way, yeah, it does. It's a moment
Right.
between you and yourself.
Right. It's a moment to my thoughts, and what I try to do also is I put on that music from the 80s. I put on either 80s music or I put on the TV show theme songs like Mr. Belvedere or Cheers.
Mhm.
It just makes me feel good, so I just go with it. That and my kids just love it because they get to hear something different. I think they always say, "Oh, Dad is listening to his music again," but I think that they actually enjoy it because you can hear them humming to the Jeffersons. I don't know. I think it's fun. And like I said, I think I may be one of those guys that are living in the 80s. Like I miss the 80s because, like I said, it started when we were 5 and ended when we were like 14. And even if you were a teenager or 15, even if you were a teenager, all throughout, you have good memories of those times. I don't know what it was about the 80s, bro. You had Slinkies, you had Pac-Man, you had Rubik's Cubes. Yes. Oh man. It's one wonderful time, man. I just I mean, it's just
Yeah, no, but I'll tell you, beginning in the 80s,
Mhm.
when I first moved to this country in New York, I used to watch The Fall Guy. You
Fall
ever
Guy.
seen
Yep,
that?
that was with
The Fall
Lee
Guy,
Majors.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard. Oh yeah, that's actually Dukes of Hazzard is another theme song that I love.
Just a good old boy.
Regardless of the fact that they had that stupid rebel flag on their car, but I like I love the song and I love the show. So, but yeah, Dukes of Hazzard is one of the ones that is on a list. I want to give a shout out also, just an early shout out because we're not done yet, to Chris Yost and Sean Hebner, who are my coworkers. They're really good guys, and we've worked from home, but we got to know each other, and we talk all the time. It's like going into the office. So with that, I just want to say that they wrote down some things for me. So this is what Chris wrote, what he remembers about the 80s. See if you remember any of this stuff, bro. Jelly shoes. Do you remember jelly shoes?
Go for it.
Those shoes that the girls used to wear.
Were those sandals?
Yeah, I think
those sandals that look like
yeah,
they were made of like
I think
jelly or
so.
something?
Yep.
Is that what they were? Yeah. My mom for
Yeah.
some reason used to put those
I
things
bet
on
they
me.
stunk when they took them off. Like, because I mean, you couldn't wear socks with them. Oh,
Probably
Jesus.
did.
Okay. Well, then he remembers the hair, of course,
Mm.
that we talked about. He remembers Mork and Mindy.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Right.
Mork and Mindy? Nano, nano.
I remember them.
Yep. Facts of
Mm-hmm.
Life. Yeah.
Mm.
Facts of Life. Of course, he mentioned Dukes
Uh-huh.
of Hazzard. Silver Spoons. Remember that one? Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
and of course the cart.
I do. They used to come on right
Yes,
after Different
yes, yes.
Strokes.
Different Strokes is another one. Yep. What you talking about, Willis? Like, yep. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and how about this? The cartoons we used to watch. Remember, bro? Thundercats. Thunder. Well, how did it go? Thundercats. Thunder.
Thundercats.
Yeah,
Thundercats.
exactly. There you go.
Oh!
And then Transformers. And man, this one,
Uh-huh.
G.I. Joe. I used to watch that before I went to school. Like in the morning, I used to watch it, eat some cereal.
G.I. Joe before we went to
Yeah,
school? Really?
G.I. Joe, the cartoon.
Hmm. I
No?
don't remember G.I. Joe playing in the
Oh,
morning, but
well,
then
maybe
again,
it
I was
was
always
maybe it was
late,
something
so.
different. Maybe it was Rambo because I know they had a little Rambo show too. But anyways, I watch cartoons in the morning. God damn it.
Huh.
Star Wars, of course, but Star Wars I think started in the late '70s.
And into the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. He listed
Yeah.
all the different horror movies. I mean, he didn't list the horror movies. He just said all different horror movies.
Fred
Jason, Michael
Uger,
Myers.
uh,
Oh my God, those
Jason, yeah.
movies. So slasher
Mm-hmm.
movies. Brat Pack. He mentioned the Brat Pack. Uh, Firefox. I don't know what Firefox was. Maybe you remember because you used to
No, I
like
don't remember that.
Airwolf. He mentioned Airwolf, and then he put next to it, yes,
Bang.
Airwolf.
Uh-huh. That's actually the show that got me into helicopters.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. It starts out with
Yes.
a helicopter kind of thing, doesn't it?
Almost.
Like,
Yeah. Yes, it does.
yeah.
The whole show
Oh,
is
okay.
based on a helicopter.
See, I wasn't into that.
Yeah.
I was into A-Team. For some reason, I couldn't get into Airwolf. And then there was Riptide that I couldn't get into either.
I got into Rips. They had a CH-43.
And you liked Miami Vice, I'm sure.
Miami Vice, I never got until
Okay.
later on. You know, when they were playing it like every day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but definitely A-Team. We always talked about the A-Team.
But
Airwolf, I knew you were into Airwolf.
You know, although I was into Miami Vice, I paid attention to it. You know, I didn't want to walk around looking like.
But you did walk around looking like Magnum.
Magnum PI.
He mentioned Magnum PI.
Yes, I did. In fact, to this day, I
my goodness. Those short. I remember when you came to school once with short shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, just like Magnum. People making fun of you and everything. You didn't even care. You were just like, whatever. Yep. No, you felt like Magnum.
You know. Look, I figure I'd like to think that I created a style, you know, by wearing the camouflage pants, you know. Now, everywhere you go, they're selling that stuff. Back in the day, my dad used to get on me. Oh, look at yourself. You look like a militant.
And now everybody wants to look like that.
They'll confuse you for an Arab.
That's funny. But how about this one? You remind me of this guy because when you were young, you used to improvise on a lot of things, right? MacGyver. Yes. And actually, they have a new MacGyver. You've seen the new MacGyver?
It's just.
I do like the girl on there. There's goodness, now there's a bunch of that work with him, but computer one.
Oh, dude, the computer one. She me with my daughter, man.
Oh, like big eyes and beautiful smile and all that. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. But I like her.
But I get it, you know.
Yeah. So shout out to Natalia.
Shout out to you,
and I like what she wrote, by the way. You shared some feedback with me on her and what she thought about the show, which is cool. We're going on 2 hours now. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up.
Jesus.
Yeah, I talk a lot, huh? Yeah, it's always me. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so a lot of I think we're gonna have to do a two-parter, bro, of the '80s because there's just so much. I mean, and I don't mind. I always like talking about the '80s. So I'm gonna move on though and talk about the badass flick or just pure shit, which yeah, pure shit. Just because, it sounded better than plain shit. I like pure shit. So and actually let's actually take a break right now. And then we'll be back. Break time. Don't go anywhere unless you have to pee. You got 30 seconds. Come back off the cuff. Who dance on the floor and around. She said I am the one who would dance on the floor and around. She told me her name was Billie Jean as she caused a scene. Then heavy hair turned with the eyes to dream of being the one who would dance on the floor and around. All right, now it's time for Badass Flick or Just Pure Shit. This week we're going to talk about Bad Boys for Life. I wanted to bring that film up because we saw it on Fire Stick, bro. I don't know if you have Fire Stick, but we have a jailbroken Fire Stick. So this installment of Bad Boys, the Bad Boys movie that came out, I think in what year was that? I don't even remember what year it was. I meant like the first movie they ever did.
Oh, yeah, that was like 20 years ago.
A long time.
You can tell because they're so damn old now.
Yeah, I could definitely see the oldness in them.
We're not even gonna believe this. Oh,
what's that?
95.
Damn, dude, we were like barely out of high school. Like 2 years out of high school.
Yeah,
or something. So this movie that they did in 2020, Bad Boys for Life, I feel the movie was a bit rushed. Like it felt like they just wanted to get this third installment out, just to complete the trilogy. And I wish they had done it a bit sooner. And I also wish they spent, I don't know, a little more time on it, I guess. They just kind of whipped it together. But I still enjoyed it. I think Gabrielle Union was back in it.
I got to say, Bad Boys trilogy, it's
right.
An action movie. And I think what makes the movie, all of them, are the main characters.
Right. I was going to say, yeah, I like them both.
They're constantly high speed, high strung, and it almost seems like they don't ever sleep.
Yeah.
I believe that the romantic part of Will Smith in the first one, that didn't really convince me. Let's say. However, Martin Lawrence was playing Will Smith's character.
Like Larry,
Larry, that convinced me. That was good. I mean, there's just some movies, some characters that they tried to play smooth, and it doesn't come out right. Maybe it's because it's like Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, for example, when he plays smooth, it's just not right. His voice doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like Eddie Murphy.
He's more like funny.
Right. It's like they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that this last one, it did seem a bit rushed, but I would say it didn't come from the actors. I believe that came from whoever was financing the shit, and they were running out of money, and they needed to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Get it over with.
Right.
Get it out into the movie theaters. Best movies are the ones that they take their sweet time making it, and they go on location and, get it just right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I still enjoyed it.
Now, does that qualify it as being pure shit?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a badass flick. It
was an enjoyable movie. I watched.
Like I said, I don't know if I would say all the way to badass flick, but somewhere in between, I guess. But it was good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, definitely not pure shit.
I mean, I was surprised when the captain got killed.
Yeah, I was upset about that because I like that little guy. I mean, I think he made the movie too, you know what I mean? And without him, they didn't have the chemistry that they had. So that's sad that he had to die. But
exactly.
So I'll close this movie topic while we're on it. I want to talk about a little news for fans of Pretty Woman Julia Roberts. You see what I did there? Pretty Woman. Yeah.
No, I do.
and and the great Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I just learned that they have a new movie coming out together. And apparently the movie's based on a novel called Leave the World Behind. And I think that's what the movie's called also, Leave the World Behind. But get this, the novel hasn't even been published yet, which is weird. It's been written.
Well, this coming with COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appears to be a psychological thriller, which I love. I love psychological thrillers. The story is about a married couple who take a vacation with their children, their teenage children, in a remote part of Long Island and in New York. And their vacation gets interrupted by the owners of the holiday home that they're staying at, who tell them that there's been a blackout in the city, cutting off the internet, television, and radio. And more unusual things begin to happen, like sonic booms and strange animal migrations. And the family begins to fall apart. Actually, both families. So they're pitting them against each other in this movie.
Because of the stress?
I guess.
Oh.
It sounds pretty interesting.
So who's the husband? I'm guessing that the wife.
Yeah, I don't know who her husband is, but I think that Denzel is a bad guy in this one. Yeah, that might be actually.
Yeah, he plays it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This might actually be really good because of that. I love him. He's a great actor in anything he does. But yeah, bad guys for some reason bad. He's a badass. I love The Equalizer that he was in. I can name a whole bunch of movies that he was in, but The Man on Fire, I think it was called Man on Fire. That was an excellent movie, and he was a badass on that one. I don't think he was a bad guy, but
that was kind of like The Equalizer. But
right. Yeah.
He was a good guy, but
he had
a bad guy
yes.
at the same token, and he
yes.
kills himself at the end.
Yeah. I love his movies.
The Safe
House.
Safe
House was awesome.
Really
yeah, that's another badass flick.
There, he was a bad guy turned good guy, but you just didn't know it until the end, after he was dead.
Yeah. I like movies like that. You know.
I know. You Jeff, I know.
Hey, man. So the movie is going to be on Netflix. I'm sure it'll be great because those two as the leads, they're awesome actors. Like I said, Julia Roberts, my favorite movie of hers, Erin Brockovich. And I don't know if you've seen that movie, but that was a really good movie. Also, it'll be their first time working together, Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts, since way back when they did The Pelican Brief in 1993, bro. Wow. I mean, it's a long time. Hopefully they have the same, they won't have the same chemistry because in The Pelican Brief, they were working together. In this movie, it's kind of like they're going to be pitted against each other. So it should be interesting.
Well, I'll tell you, Denzel is a good bad guy.
Yes, for sure. Training Day was awesome. Yeah, he is. He's good either way. I agree with that. And if anybody out there has any movies to recommend, even suggest that we talk about it, let us know at offthecuffpodcast@gmail.com. And you can actually even download Anchor and leave us a voice message. You might make it on the show. So now I'm going to go ahead and do some shout outs. And like I like to introduce it. And now it's time for shout outs. Yeah. There you go. That sounds good. All right. So I want to shout out to one of our listeners and my coworker and friend, Sierra. Now, this is she's, I think, a lead or manager over in Denver, Colorado at the company I work with. We've gotten to know each other and stuff, and she's totally on the opposite side of the Black Lives Matter thing that I am. But I come to find out that, they're not, just because you're not with the Black Lives Matter doesn't mean you're a racist. And it doesn't mean that, she just has a few issues with it, but she's a good girl. She's a good woman. And so I just wanted to shout her out because I admire that she isn't afraid to tell it like she feels. And I like those people. Even on the toughest subjects, they don't back down. You know what I mean? I also have two other coworkers that work at the same company that I talked about earlier. Actually, I shouted them out earlier. They gave us some 80s flashback stuff to talk about. Sean Hebner and Chris Yost. I just enjoyed the stuff that they had to say about the 80s that they remembered. I didn't mention Sean's stuff that much. He had an interesting one too, which I want to say right now, if you don't mind. He mentioned new wave because new wave music, I guess, was starting to come about. Rick Astley, you remember Rick Astley? Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
Oh
Yes.
yes. See, I can associate these songs with years because my sister used to wake me up
Yeah,
with these damn
yeah.
things.
So, speaking of that, Wake Me Up
Yeah.
Before You Go, George Michael. Wake me up before you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, he mentioned Billy Idol. I remember going to school with a hearing like Billy Idol. Hair metal, he mentioned. He also mentioned sporty dude shorts, which I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but sporty dude shorts. And comics gaining popularity, he said, back in the 80s, which is true. I think Eddie Murphy, of course, was huge back in the 80s with Raw and Delirious. And
Yeah, man.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm. With that tight ass red leather
yeah,
outfit
yeah,
of his.
for sure.
Talking about Dexter at
Yeah.
the beach. And he's got to marry a big, deep down African bush bitch named Fufu.
And she wants half. She wants
Eddie,
Eddie,
we
I
have
want
to
half.
talk. I have
Yeah, I
rights.
have rights, Eddie. Oh man, that shit was hilarious, bro. I mean, instead of delirious, it should have just been hilarious because he is funny. But yeah, those comics were gaining popularity back then. I think a lot. Richard Pryor was another one that he had already been, established. I think in the late '70s, and '80s was, beginning '80s. He was just a break, just a big comic, even bigger than Eddie, I think, at the time. But like I said, Eddie had his own style. And then also insult comics is what I think I mentioned that earlier, but he said insult comics, which Sam Kinison, I think was one of them. Remember Sam Kinison? I don't know if you do. He used to yell a lot in his comic thing. I know you remember George Carlin. He passed away
George
recently.
Carlin, yes. How can I forget him? We used to watch. Recently. I guess
Yeah,
it was
well,
like last
yeah,
week, wasn't
it's
it?
pretty recent.
I saw him live.
Oh,
I
did you?
actually saw. I went
I
to go
loved
see
him,
him
man.
live in
He was
Atlantic
really
City
good.
once. Yeah.
Really good at his craft.
It was a great show. I agree. But you know what? I said I couldn't believe that the show was over when it was, and it was an
Yeah, well,
excellent show. I
right.
wanted more, you know.
Yeah,
I think I
he
was
was
screaming encore.
he was very intelligent and just, I mean, kind of like what they say, I guess, about Dave Chappelle these days. I know some people don't like Dave. I like some of his stuff. I think that he's just a brilliant dude.
I like his segment
Yeah.
on Sesame Street. Dave
Oh,
Chappelle's
okay.
segment on
All right.
Sesame Street. He says, if you think about it, we put our kids to watch Sesame Street.
Mhm.
But if you look at it closely, after you smoke a blunt and have a couple of beers, you start to realize that that is a story. The characters are characters straight up out of the hood.
Yeah.
You know, you got this tall ass pigeon,
Big bird.
6 foot,
Yep.
7 foot pigeon that's yellow that walks around and no one seems to think he's out of place.
Yeah.
Then you got
Good.
Groucho,
Yeah.
And the
The
one that
jazz
lives
can.
in the trash can, And then he said, you got your Cookie Monster,
Because
that's
he's
your
always like,
crackhead,
cookies. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then he said the best one of all. The best one of all is Count Dracula. That's your pimp. 1, 2, 3, bitch, where's my money?
Oh, that's funny. I gotta look that up on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So that'll do it for us.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry
ahead.
to
No,
interrupt.
no. Go ahead.
I'm sorry
I
to
want you to
interrupt. Go
talk.
ahead. No, that's it. I just had to talk
Oh.
about, Count Blackula being, the pimp. Sesame Street. 1, 2, 3, bitch, where's my money?
I like that. They're gonna make like a snippet of that. All right. So that'll do it for us this week, ladies and gentlemen. Please listen in next week as we talk a little more about our broship and experiences as teens into adulthood. Get to know us a little better and possibly go on another flashback. We might do the 90s. We might do some more 80s. I don't know. We'll decide. 90s was another fun decade, so we can go there. Thanks for listening to this episode of Off the Cuff. As always, we truly appreciate the love and support. Don't forget to subscribe, follow on any of the platforms that you're listening on so you can know when we have a new episode coming out. And remember, you can listen on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, or you can download this app, Anchor. And it allows you to leave voice messages for us. So that'd be cool to hear some of you. So with that being said, we're out of here. Peace.
Peace.
This is what it sounds like.